Welcome to Eagle Spire Gaming. I'm your host, Crown, and today is March 3rd, where we are taking a look at Great Penance episode 13, and we have some Leman Russ strike squadrons from Legions Imperialis. And when you're new around here and you don't know what any of those words are that I just said, you're probably wondering, what's Legions Imperialis? What is a Great Penance? What's a Leman Russ strike squadron? And why is your name Crown? I will answer some of those questions, but not the last one. Legions Imperialis is a game by Games Workshop set in the 30,000 or the Horse Heresy time frame. They also have games that are in the 40K, 40,000, which are future, that's the main game that they really play. But this is set behind that, and it being Legions Imperialis, it being, they have another game that's just called Horse Heresy. This one is tiny tanks and tiny people, whereas the other game is much bigger tanks, probably like that big. 28 millimeter scale, and this is 8 or 10. They call it epic scale, though. And this is a Leman Russ, and it is the workhorse of the Solar Auxiliary. And a Great Penance is my shame, or my attempt to get rid of my shame. All these models behind me all these boxes behind me are filled with what will one day hopefully be models. I have to build them, I have to open those, build them, prime them, paint them, get them ready for the table so that I can get them over there where we're going to play with them, play a game with them, or put them back on the shelf in a display so that they can be viewed and nice and pretty and everything instead of gray and in their box. My gray pile of shame. I've taken a vow, an oath, a crusade that I will get to all of these. I will do all of these before I buy anything else. And there's so many of them. There's quite a lot that I accumulated very quickly, and a bunch of it is very large titans and stuff. Things like this guy here. They're just this is the scale right there. That's huge compared to this little guy. Man, he is not going to be happy facing that thing. But I have to get those done so that before I can buy anything else. And if there's something that comes out that is limited time, a great deal that I just can't pass up, I will get those things, and it will be tragic, but I can't turn it down, right? If it's only going to be available for a limited amount of time, or that deal is only available for a limited amount of time, well, I don't want to pay full price because I made a vow that I wouldn't, and I'm still coughing. I'm still a little sick, and as I talk, it makes me want to cough more, and that's not good. That's making this video very hard to do. This is not my first attempt to try to do it, but we're going to push through this time, and I'm going to get this done right. So if I'm laughing, it's because I'm coughing. Now, first and foremost, I have a confession to make to you all. I have played these before. These guys have seen the table now. 2 days ago, I did a demo at the local gaming store, which is not local for me at all because it's an hour away. I drove up there. I posted on their Discord. I said, hey, who wants to play a demo game? Because I got these guys ready now. Instead of making this video, I drove up there to finish it, to play with them. And while we were there, like 2 other people came up, and one of them was like, yeah, I finished making all my stuff before I joined the military, and then now I'm out here and I don't have my stuff. I haven't gotten to play the game yet. I'm like, dude, bring them. Let's do this. Get them up there. And he's like, yeah, awesome. Another guy was looking at it, was like, I've been thinking about getting into that. I was like, man, I've played this game twice here now, sometime last year. Nobody came up, but I guess the crowd that was there this day was different. Of course it was different. The other guy didn't even, he's only been in the area for a few months now, or I don't know. I didn't talk to him that long. I don't know how long he's been there, but let's not make assumptions. So yeah, gonna have more people to play against soon. They still live an hour away from me, and I'll still have to make quite a drive to go play with them, but that's better than what I had. And then I posted pictures of the infantry that I finished on some of the other local Discords. There's a few places in the area, but they're all like really far away from me. There's one place nearby, but they only really play like 40K tournament stuff. That's all that they're playing in there. And that store has a huge collection of stuff. They're really close to me, but everyone only plays like 40K tournament. And when I post about this stuff, they'll be like, oh, what is that? And I'll be like, well, it's set in 30K. And despite how many times I'll say epic scale, small scale, not 28 millimeter, they'll be like, oh yeah, I want to play that too. I've only got 1 squad done. I'm like, if you only have 1 squad done, I'm pretty sure you're talking about 40K. Not 40K, 30K. The big scale stuff. which doesn't help me out at all. But, you know, they're like, oh, how do you have so many tanks in that army? Because this isn't a lot of tanks. 8 tanks is not a lot at all. So we played Saturday, and it was just the 2 infantry boxes. I started working on these guys. They're not nearly done at all, but we used them anyway. So 2 Bane Blades and 8 tanks. And then my side, I was using 4 tanks and then 4 Leman Russes and 2 Malcadors, because that's all I had. Don't have any Malcadors for these guys, and I don't have any Leman. I only have 4 Leman Russes for the other side. So, you know, we played with what we could. Mostly a mirror match. And he asked about, like, you know, all right, so what was this? How many points did we have? It was only like 800 points. It was like 880 or something. Like two infantry boxes, minus four of the sentinels, because I forgot to grab. I only grabbed 8. Only grabbed 8 for one side and 4 for the other side. So we had to, you know, I messed up when I backed. So we just played with 4, just to keep things mirrorless. Don't have to think about it too much. And yeah, so we only played like 800 and something points. I was like, you need like 3.5 of these to play a full game. But you probably take more tanks and Titans. We like Titans. He plays. I think he enjoys Titan. I think he's played a bunch of Titanicus. But yeah. So more people in the area starting to get into this, and that's interesting. That's great for me. It doesn't help you guys that much, but we'll see what happens, right? So we're now in a whole new month, and we still don't have the Mechanicum tanks, and that's all we're going to talk about that for now. I want to see them. I want them to come out. I won't be able to get any of them, but I want them to come out. We've now passed my birthday. It was actually the last video was my birthday, and so now, you know, nobody's going to be getting me those tanks for my birthday, which is unfortunate. Can't use that loophole of somebody got it for me, but you know. We're just gonna press on like they didn't exist for about another year until I can finish all this and I can get around to it. My initial plan had been that I was going to spend the month of February working on Trader Solar Auxiliary, and that I was going to try to finish as much as I could before we got to March, and then March was going to be Stalker Constructs. I then got sick and missed out on about a week of painting, and I missed out on, you know, there was another week of me not really putting as much effort into it because I didn't feel that good. So I really need to finish more Trader Solar Auxiliary before I move on to the Stalkers. The next time I intend to do more Trader stuff or Solar Auxiliary isn't until December, I think. Yeah, it's in December. And what I need to finish is I need to finish these guys. I've already primed them. I've already got them ready. You know, I already started. I did the black of the treads. I need to do some more black. You know, they'll be kind of quick. I can finish them in about a week, maybe, depending on how much time I get to paint this week, which depends on how fast I can get this video finished. And then I want to finish a support box. A supports box worth of tarantulas, of cyclops, and a box and a half worth of rapiers. And what that will do for me, and I've already primed them all. I've already built them and primed them. I've already built and primed all the stalkers and everything too. That was something that I got done during that week where I didn't really want to put too much effort into it. I was able to get a bunch of stuff built, and then the other day I was able to prime some stuff, like Thursday or so. It was just a nice day, so I was able to get out there. Maybe today will be nice too. But if I finish them, if I finish all these, I will be able to field an armored company, which means one of my tanks can be a commander, which means my tanks can be separate from the other commanders, the other HQ of the Solar Auxiliary, and still get first fire orders and march orders and all that kind of stuff. The other thing it will let me do is I can field 2 pioneer forces, or 2 pioneer companies. This means I can take 5 formations of Solar Auxiliary for as allies, or however I want them to be. And it'll be about 1,000 points, I think, give or take a little bit. If this was 880, I can't remember how much all the rapiers and the tarantulas are, and the cyclops. Cyclops are 40. It'll be close to 1,000, maybe a little bit over. Too much to use all of it as allies, but not so much that I have a bunch of stuff sitting on the shelf. It'll give me some options on how to play. With the Pioneer Company, I'll be able to infiltrate. I'll be able to have some stuff up the field. I'll have some anti-aircraft capabilities, which Mechanicum doesn't have. Mechanicum doesn't have things that are dedicated towards punching tanks. Anything that it does have that can punch a tank also has some other weapon on it that you're paying for that doesn't quite do what you need it to do. Mechanicum has a bunch of tech priests that are able to repair vehicles, increase the survivability of vehicles, which all these vehicles will be able to benefit from. It benefits me greatly to finish these last few things and push back the Stalkers just a little bit. So I'm going to be doing that. So you'll see two more updates of Solar Auxiliary stuff, and then I'll be moving on to the Stalkers. Now let's take a look at these tanks. These Leman Russ Strike Squadron. These come in a box. They also come. You get 4 of them in the starter set. You get 8 of them in the Solar Auxiliary Battle Group, and you get 8 of them in a regular Strike Squadron box. And they come with 2 hull mounts. There are a total of 5 different detachments of Leman Russ that you can take. The Strike Squadron and then the other 4 that come in 2 each in 2 different boxes. And all of them have the same 2 hull mounts. And then there are 6 different turret mounts that you can have, turret weapons that you can have. And the turrets are able to just kind of, you can kind of just fit them in there and rotate them. No magnets needed. And even when you flip them upside down, they won't come out. They kind of stay there. You kind of got to put a little bit of force to them if you want to do that. You could put them in. You could put them in a way where they're not quite as forced in, and then they might pop out more often. But they don't seem to be that much of an issue. I didn't feel the need to glue them. And this way they're honestly probably safer, because if somebody hits them, if somebody puts a lot of weight down, pressure down on them and hits that turret, maybe the barrel won't break. Instead, it'll just pop off. So that's beneficial. The benefit to being able to have them come on or off is more for the purpose of that hull-mounted weapon. Some of them you will take to deal with infantry. Some of the variants are more for dealing with infantry, and some of them are more for dealing with tanks. And then some of them are some extension of being able to deal with both threats. And if you want them moving forward and taking the center of the field, you might want heavy bolters for point defense to deal with those pesky close combat units or anybody still out in the open. And if you have them sitting back, maybe las cannons are the right option. Entirely up to you how you want to do that. And we see here that I went with, this is both of the options available in the Strike Squadron. This is the Vanquisher Cannon on the left and the Battle Cannon on the right. And the Vanquisher Cannon has a lovely 4-up to hit, a AP -2, and Armor Bane, which means if your opponent passes their save when you shoot their tanks, they have to make that save again. They have to pass it twice, essentially. It's kind of like Shred. Shred does the same thing, but for infantry. The Battle Cannon, on the other hand, is... Both of these are one-shot, by the way. Slightly shorter range at 25. AP -1. And that's it. It doesn't have anti-tank like the Vanquisher Cannon, so you get that AP even if you shoot them against infantry. And you still get that AP versus tanks and everything else. Everything in between. When I built these, I don't remember if the other versions were available yet, but I, at the least, didn't yet have them purchased. So at the time, my intent was that some battle cannons with some heavy bolters will be more capable of dealing with infantry, but would still have some ability to hurt a tank. The battle cannon against the battle cannon shooting it into a predator has a 25% chance to cause a wound for the predator to fail its wound. Which is still, if you've got 4 of these, that's 1 dead predator. And against infantry, like a tactical squad or against a solar auxiliary squad, it would have a 50% chance of causing a wound, and against the tactical squad, it's a 42% chance. That seemed good at the time, so that's how I built these. And I did the same thing with my Malcadors. My first Malcadors had the battle cannon as well for the same purpose. They can also take a Vanquisher cannon. The Vanquisher cannon is worse against the tactical squad and the auxiliary squad for obvious reasons. Much better against the Predator and the Russ. But at the time, that seemed like that was the trade-off. However, when we then got the other 4 variants of the Leman Russ, there is now a las cannon turret, and a demolisher cannon turret, and a plasma cannon turret, and an auto cannon turret. All of them have their what they're good at. The plasma cannon and the auto cannon are better at taking on infantry than they are at taking out tanks. They can still do it. They can still do both, but they're better at shooting infantry. Whereas the las cannon and the demolisher cannon, well, the demolisher cannon's better at taking out infantry that are in a building, or just taking out a building. The las cannon, it's got the punch to hurt a tank. The las cannon as well. So you've got some of these that are more. They're each different. The plasma cannon and the auto cannon really step on each other's toes. We'll talk more about it later, but the only difference is because of one has more shots, the other has better AP. So what ends up happening is, depending on what kind of cover save your infantry, your opponent has, determines whether or not they otherwise score the same hits, right? Score the same amount of wounds. They have the same % chance to damage the enemy. But when they're in a little bit of cover, one's better, and if they're in a lot of cover, the other's better. Because most infantry, their save is so bad that if you give them a +1 modifier or a +2 modifier, a +1 modifier versus AP2, it's still no save. But a +2 modifier against an AP2, well, now they have a chance. And I think +2 is more common than +1, or maybe it's the other way around. +1 is more common than +2, outside of buildings, which doesn't matter because then you have it's not a modifier to your save, it's a whole new save. 2 of the tanks, 2 of the turrets, more meant for anti-tank, 2 of the turrets, more meant for anti-infantry. Either way, they can all do both, just to varying degrees of success. Then you compare them to the battle cannon, and every single one of those 4 options is better or equal to the battle cannon. It is Leman Russ's shooting at a 2-up armor save, 1 wound tank. You have the plasma cannon, the auto cannon, and the battle cannon all have a 17% chance to do 1 wound. Auto cannon and plasma cannon, they don't even get AP against the Leman Russ, but because they have more dice, all 3 have the same chance. The las cannon and the demolish cannon have a higher chance. Vanquisher cannon remains the highest chance here. Against the predator, the battle cannon now has less chance. Against a 3-up save vehicle, the predator has less chance to survive. Not to survive. The battle cannon has less chance to do 1 wound against a 3-up save vehicle. Against a 4-up save, it gets even worse. Against infantry, it's even worse, right? Like they do double the damage. They have double the chance to do damage, or almost double. Double against solar auxiliary, almost, like 2 points shy of doing double against Space Marine equivalent. Against sentinels, against walkers, The battle cannon does nothing that somebody else doesn't do better. None of its options are better than anybody else's. Yeah. None of it, so there's no point to taking it now. It does not have any benefit to anything else. You only can take them because they look cool. You only can take them because you want to. And that is perfectly fine in a game like this. It's just unfortunate. Maybe they should have an extra shot. Maybe they should have an extra AP. Maybe they should have something. But I think an extra AP would be nice. I think that would make it. I haven't done the math. I haven't done the math for a different option, but something where it's not better than all of the specifically anti-armor versions, or better than the specifically anti-infantry options, but it's a capable all-rounder where it can do better against infantry than the anti-armor, than the anti-tank, and better against tanks than the anti-infantry. That's where it needs to be. They didn't do it that way, and I don't know if that's because these are different books that they come in. I think plasma cannon is also a bit of a bit disappointing in some ways. Plasma guns in general are a bit disappointing. I'm not here to hate on these guys though. I still love them. I still love the way they look. I still think that they look really cool, and I still plan on using them. I'm just not going to be making any more battle cannons for the foreseeable future. And I now have, I only made them this way because at the time they were a choice, and now they are less of it. They are not a choice anymore, in my opinion. I have battle cannons on both sides now, and so that's at least fair. I do need to make, I will at some point make more Leman Russes for these guys. Maybe the Demolisher cannons, because I know that Master Chief, Stencil, whatever we want to call him, I know he likes blowing up buildings with these guys. Not these guys specifically, but like in general. I know he likes to blow up buildings, so I'll give him some more stuff, more toys that can blow up buildings, and I'll get around to those at some point. And then maybe he can also, maybe he'd like something else. I'll ask him what he wants though. How he wants it to, what he wants to be able to field, and I'll work with that. But I definitely need some more of these in my own force too. All the options really for those guys, but for my guys. But yeah, that's really all the time we have for today. So I will thank you all for stopping by and watching another one of my videos. And if you've got any friends that don't know about it yet, and they're looking for more content on Legions Imperialis, I hear it all the time. There's not enough Legions Imperialis content. Make sure they know about this one. And as always, this has been Eagle Spire Gaming. I've been Crown. Thanks for flying by.